Welcome to Woman in Progress, where science meets soul and strength meets transformation. I'm your host, Coach Lexi, online women's holistic nutrition and training coach with a passion for psychology, behavior change, manifestation, spirituality, and more. I'm proudly your guide in helping busy women break free from outdated fitness rules, yo-yo dieting, and stepping into their most aligned and unstoppable selves. Here, we dive into the art and science of mastering your nutrition, building a physique you love, and rewiring the mindset blocks holding you back from achieving that, all while embracing the power of manifestation and subconscious reprogramming to do so. Whether you're here to lose fat, build muscle, or simply feel like the badass you are in the right place. It's time to create a life and body you're obsessed with. Get ready to embody her. Let's dive in. Wow, guys. Happy freaking New Year. I can't believe it's already 2025. And in a weird and exciting way, I'm very curious to see what this year has in store for us. And if you listen to this podcast, then you are 100% a woman who is always looking to better herself. You're always looking to be your best self and align your actions and your behaviors with where it is that you want to be. And, maybe you have made your vision board for the year or, pinned a bunch of posts on Pinterest into your 2025 vibes going into this year. And my goal is to help you guys actually make that a reality. And this is why I'm passionate about what I do. And when it comes to manifesting, if you have been on this journey long enough, you know that it is not just another way to just control outcomes, but it's an invitation to do the shadow work, right? The inner child healing work, the healing work, and making the internal behavior changes needed to actually become the woman that can have and hold the desired reality that you want, the desired body that you want, the desired love and relationship that you want, the desired, relationship with money and financial standpoint that you want, right? So what I want to do for today's podcast is give you guys the energy you need going into this new year. I want to start off with giving you guys permission to go at your own pace. Yes, it's a new year, but it's also still winter, right? And when we think about winter and when we think about what winter means, winter is that call to slow down and to go inward and to go at a slower pace. And I think sometimes when there's a new year, we can get all this pressure or excitement and motivation to really make like a change in our lives. Um, but if we really want to make that change, then we need to zoom out to like the full year, right? Like if you want to transform your physique, you want to take your nutrition seriously, you want to, heal your attachment wounds, like whatever is coming up for you, that's not an 8 to 12 week plan, right? And so when we really zoom out, then we know that it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in January, February. It's going to take time. And it's going to happen through aligned action and clearing those limiting beliefs. So, I want to start off today's podcast with the first page of this book that I'm reading. It's called The Pivot Year. And it's not like a book with like chapters, it's more of like excerpts, you know what I mean? You just read one every single day, but I wanted to read it for you guys. I hope this is the year you change your life. Not in the superficial way, not in the way of moving things around on the surface and wondering why nothing feels much different underneath. Not in the way of conformity, not in the way that aligns you most closely with all of the traditional emblems of success, the ones that leave you smiling beside your accomplishments, but feeling so pinched with guilt and regret. I hope this is the year you change your life in the ways you have always secretly wanted to. The year you discover those quiet dreams that have lingered for so long are actually echoes of parallel lives, sister stories asking you to tell them, to leap toward them, to move them out of your mind and into a touchable physical reality. I hope this is the year that you can change your life in only the way you can, with the power only you have. I can't do it for you. These words can't do it for you. They can only encourage and guide you like an old friend, a message from far beyond and deep within. I hope you focus more on what you feel between the lines than what you see on the pages. I hope each day makes you take pause and contemplate what invisible third door of possibility you may have missed. I hope you are not afraid to go inward, the space from which your entire life is born. Oof. I loved that. And there's more. So I hope that this is the year you stop dancing around the perimeter of who you intended to be, of what you came here to do. I hope that this is the year you learn to defy what's reasonable and build sense in a world of your own design. I hope that this is the year you discover that the floor does not only hold up if you remain where you're standing. And with each step you take and wherever you may go, it will rise to meet you as it always has and it always does. I hope that this is the year you realize everything, every last thing in your life will happen with much more ease if it is in alignment with your soul's true intent. I hope this is the year you begin to unearth those truths from inside of you. I hope that this is the year you find the boldest, bravest kind of courage. I hope that this is the year you walk fiercely into the life that was always meant to be yours. Within you lives a great vision for your life, quieted over time by the world. It is once again time to listen. It is once again time to live. Ooh, I don't know about y'all, but that is the energy that I want to go into 2025 with. And that energy is of mystery. It is of actually listening to those very quiet whispers of your soul pull, right? What is your soul pull? If you don't even know it, focus on yourself first, right? Sometimes we spend so much time wondering about our career and our purpose, but it's like I always say if you want to like find your purpose, focus on your own self-leadership first. The way you lead yourself with your nutrition, your fitness, your relationships, love, you know, start there. And if you can master that, it makes everything else so much easier, which is why I still do, nutrition, health, fitness coaching, because that's the first pillar, right? A lot of times we don't feel like we have the confidence to do the things we want, but if you can build the confidence to build your physique and, it's not just about the physique, but align and embody that version of you that's disciplined and consistent and, does the healing work consistently, which you do, right? If you're listening to this, but really, really investing in herself, energy, time, money, then everything else you're gonna have the confidence to do, right? There's so many times I talk to women and they're like, I just don't have the confidence to do this or that. And it's like, how can I trust myself with this or that if I can even, this or that? And it's just all of these things. But yeah, so I love it. And going into 2025, I'm really big into like numerology, astrology, like all of the things. I think it's super cool. But 2025 is a year 9. Okay. So in numerology, okay, so if you're kind of wondering what is numerology, numerology is simply the study of numbers and their connection to people's lives and the belief that numbers have a deeper meaning than just their numerical value, right? If you believe that everything's all connected and if you believe that, you know, everything everything is energy, right? Like that's just scientifically proven, then you can reveal a lot of hidden destiny, a lot of struggles, a lot of life purpose, understand events and things when you understand, some of these modalities. So, when you see angel numbers, right? Like all of these different numbers hold different vibrations, right? So, we've arrived at the final chapter of a profound 9-year cycle, a period of culmination, reflection, and meaningful transformation. And so the energy of the universal year 9 encourages us to release the old and prepare for the new. I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited about this. I just went through a breakup. I may or may not be moving to DR, which I'll give you all updates at the end of this podcast with that. Um, I can feel that there's a lot of endings and breakthroughs and shedding what no longer serves me, and I'm sure what no longer serves you, right? And it's funny because my word for the year for 2024 was surrender. And it was like, boy, yeah, surrender, all right. Because there were so many things I had to let go of, so many things that I felt like were taken from me, but was actually needed so that way I could access the level of deeper healing and shadow work and inner child healing needed to actually step into the version of myself that I needed to become. Right? And deep down, I kinda knew that a shakeup was needed, but, like, when you're comfortable and you're in the sense of security, like, you don't really 9 times out of 10, like, take those shakeups for yourself, especially when it's, like, a lot more riskier, right? Like, ending a relationship or moving somewhere or whatever, right? So, again, guys, 2025 is a universal year 9, which really is a year of endings and breakthroughs and shedding what no longer serves to make room for a future aligned with our highest potential. Okay. And I'm reading this off of mindbodygreen.com. Love this website. So, this year invites us into a phase of metamorphosis. Ooh, much like the caterpillar dissolves into conscious goo before emerging as a butterfly, we too are asked to embrace this process of deep release. Deep release. So if you are not already actively doing things for your own healing, which we'll talk about later, like inner child healing work, working on your nutrition and your fitness and your overall wellness and your routines and your habits. Um, maybe you are kind of still stuck in some old structures, right? Whether that be a relationship that you kind of tell yourself on the surface that, like, yeah, this is the one, but really deep down, it just gives you a sense of security and safety that you're afraid to let go of, right? Even though you know that, like, maybe there's, I don't want to say better out there, but like a more aligned fit for you, or maybe you kind of feel like you're stuck at a job that you don't really love, and you really have like this desire to be a content creator or have your own business or have financial freedom in a different way, but maybe you just don't really believe deep down that like you can do that, or maybe you do believe that you can, but again, you're kind of safe, you're kind of comfortable, right? um Maybe you've been wanting to invest in yourself, but you're just afraid of, like, money and all of those things, and there's so many things that we're being called to release, and our ego gets attached to these things. Our ego creates attachments and identities around everything, around a career, on relationships, around friendships, around all of these things. And it's fucking hard to let go. But one thing I've learned is that, like, if you don't do it, the universe will do it for you. And so, as we approach this new year, what are those outdated, you know, beliefs, habits, or structures that are outdated? Because now is the time to really, really like shift that shit. And I'll share personally for me, um, like scrolling on my phone, like that is a big, big, big one. And one of my mottos for this year is create more than I consume. Um, and that's a habit that I'm working out of, also doing things based off of my emotions, right? Like, I feel like I've done a really good job of rewiring that when it comes to my nutrition and fitness, but there's still a lot of things in life that I'm just like, if I don't feel like it, I just tend to like not do it, right? And I think that's just how our brain works, but it's not about just cutting these things off cold turkey. It's about understanding that we're going to ebb and we're going to flow and we're going to kind of, be in this pendulum swing a little bit, right? But ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, are we progressing? Okay. And so 2026, which is the year after next year, no, we're not getting a little too ahead of ourselves, but that is a universal year 1. So each year has a number assigned to it. So 2025, if you add all those numbers together, equals 9, right? And the vibration of the number 9 is, of endings and breakthroughs and releasing and renewal and all of that. And then it resets again back to 1, right? Because, 9, 10 equals, you know, 1 plus 0 is 1, right? So in 2026, it's a universal year 1. It's the beginning of a new cycle. So if we want to go into 2026, right? I know this is like, girl, I'm just thinking about 2025. But again, guys, you got to think kind of like zoom out here. It's a new cycle. We have to clear away what's outdated. We have to clear that away. And so now is the time to surrender and trust the process of renewal. Okay. So with universal year 9 going into 2025, it's a powerful call to reflect on the last 9 years, right? What have we learned? How have we grown? Which parts of our journey are complete? And what are we ready to leave behind? And while endings can be bittersweet, there are also opportunities for closure and clarity, creating space for something even more fulfilling, right? And so, um, the humanitarian nature of the number 9 in numerology brings a heightened sense of awareness of social justice, community, global healing, and calls us to move beyond division and toward unity, which I think is beautiful. Now, on an emotional level, this year may stir feelings of nostalgia, grief, or vulnerability. I know. You're like, no, I'm tired of it. But it is what it is, girl. We're in this together. Okay. Um, and so, letting go is never easy, but it's often the precursor to profound growth. I mean, take it from me. I just went through a breakup that I did not see coming. It literally like it shattered my reality. It's like everything, like it just shattered it. And now I'm at the place now where yes, I've accepted it and it comes in waves, but I feel deep down that it's like for something higher that I can't see, right? Like God has bigger plans for me and for you. And so I'm trusting that every release is paving the way for something better. The visual that comes to me is almost like think as if like you're kind of like falling in the sky. Like you're literally just like in the sky, like falling, whatever. And you have all these vests on, these heavy vests. And the heavy vests are pretty much like making you, it's you're falling in the sky. And with each habit or belief or job or relationship or just anything that you let go of that doesn't serve you, right? Or that you're only holding on to from a sense of attachment and not alignment, it's scary to take that vest off, but like you're taking that vest off and then you float. And every single time you let go of one of those things that are, again, of attachment but not alignment, you float higher and higher and higher and you rise higher and higher and higher, right? It's almost like the leap is so scary, but when you leap, the net appears and it always appears. Even if you feel like, what the fuck, what's happening? It's like, it's there. God's got you. And so the energy of the 9 holds a deep wisdom, encouraging us to surrender to transformation, right? And that's really what surrender is. It's like when you go zip lining and you're like, ah, but like that you're held by the zip line, or you go rock climbing and it feels like it's unsteady. It feels like it's scary. It feels like you're gonna fall, but then you're lifted by like the hoist or whatever it's called. The hoist, the fuck. But like the thingy, right? And so by embracing whatever challenges and opportunities this year brings, we're setting the stage for a new cycle, one filled with clarity, intention, and infinite potential. Okay. So, what can we expect going into 2025 based off of numerology? Well, obviously, each and every one of us is going to experience this energy very uniquely, but some common themes include increased awareness of what no longer serves you. Okay. So, relationships, habits, thought patterns, careers, nudging you toward release, deep self reflection, right? So, aligning your goals and values with your personal truth to prepare for the next chapter of growth, closure and resolution. So, unfinished projects, I see you, girl, or lingering conflicts may come to the surface for a resolution. And nostalgia and mourning. So, mixed emotions may arise as we let go of the past while preparing for renewal. Okay. So, this is really the takeaway going into 2025. Um, and so, it can feel hard, but when you have the right tools, it makes all the difference. Which brings me into my final point going into today's podcast, which is really equipping yourself, right? And, we all have these goals, but you know, it's a goal is a goal is a goal until you actually, you know, make it a reality, which comes from action. It comes from habit change. It comes from behavior change. It comes from changing your literal fucking neural pathways, right? And so if we want that to be the case for ourselves, then we got to do the work. We got to do the inner work. And so I've been a nutrition and fitness coach for 6, 7 years now. And time again, one of the biggest themes that I see for women, whether they get results or they kind of get in their own way, doesn't matter, is no matter if you want your dream body or you want to get your nutrition in check or you want a loving, healthy relationship that's like passionate and sexy and all the things, or you want more money and security, right? Our body, our nervous system, our subconscious is always going to subconsciously like arrange things to be what's comfortable. And what's comfortable is what is known and familiar. And so the most important thing is not, okay, what nutrition plan do I need to be on? What training plan do I need to be on? What, like how can I track my expenses better? Like all of those things are important. Yes, you need the physical world things, but more so, how can you create the safety in your body to have, and not just have, but to hold these desires? Because that's the most important thing, right? It's like you can lose weight, but then why do so many women gain it back? Or you can like reach your like goals, right? But then it's like, really taking to that next level, or maybe you find yourself self-sabotaging after a certain time, or self-sabotage can look like so many different ways. Sometimes it's not, oh, I don't feel like going to the gym. Sometimes it's like, ugh, like I have the ick now for the gym, right? When you hit your goals, or maybe you manifest something happening in your life that like right when you were literally fucking making progress, something happens, right? And it shows up in so many different ways. It's gonna happen with money, relationships, like everything. And if we want to create safety in our bodies, to not just have the desired outcomes that we want going into 2025, but to hold it as well. And not just hold, but like from a place of deep pleasure and joy and ease, and not from a place of struggle and constant push and constant, like, you know what I mean? Like, and obviously you're going to have that. You're going to have that. Like, having ease doesn't mean it's going to be easy. You create ease by doing the hard things, right? It's like that saying, want a hard life, live and do everything that's easy. Want an easy life, you got to do some shit that's hard sometimes, right? That's important. But if we want that for ourselves, then we got to create that safety. So how do we do that? How do we create that safety in our bodies? And I'll do another episode on this to dive in deeper. But there's a few things. One is inner child healing. Healing your inner child. Inner child healing is really the idea of the spiritual practice, psychological practice of connecting with your inner child that lives within you. Okay. She lives within you. Um, what I mean when I say she lives within you is that the body keeps score. And have you ever noticed, like, when you're around certain family members or friends, you almost like regress to like a certain age, right? Or you kind of like throwing a tantrum, or, it's like that's your inner child coming through. Or you feel like you just want more playtime or fun and creativity. And it's like, you don't let yourself, you're just like, oh, your inner child just wants fucking like vibe, right? And so I always knew about inner child healing, but I never really like knew how to go about it or like take action on it. I just didn't really know like what the fuck to do with it. And I recently had a spiritual reading, and she told me, that what she's seeing is that, you know, there's a lot of anger. And it didn't really resonate with me at first. I'm like, anger? I don't feel like I have a lot of anger. I feel like I'm chilling. I feel like I'm just very much like, okay, attack the situation. Let's move forward. Let's go. And she was saying how, like, yeah, I mean, the visual that I'm getting is your back turned to your inner child. And it's kind of just like, just get over it, just move on. And this dismissive energy towards your inner child that actually has very big emotions and feels so deeply. And there was a time where, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this. I mean, let me know if it does relate, where if you feel very deeply, you get to this point in your life, right, where you kind of learn in some way, shape, or form that it's not safe. It's not safe to feel this deeply. It's too much, right? Whether your fears of getting lost in it, or your fear of your own power, or your fear of your own intensity, or people taking advantage of you, or not be, whatever it is, right? There's so many different things. But she was absolutely right. Although I am somebody that prides myself in feeling my feelings and all of this stuff, I mean, we all have our blind spots, right? And I hadn't realized that I was actually being so dismissive towards my deeper feelings, and I actually did have a lot of things that I was suppressing and kind of just being like, cut the cord, move on, move forward, like forget about it. But really, I'm just pushing it down and I'm neglecting my inner child, because our inner child represents our emotions and our emotional instincts and the way we feel and our intuition and all of those things, right? You have your inner child, you have your higher self, you have your ego. All of these parts of us live within our psyche, right? But when's the last time you actually, like, I don't know, connected with your inner child, right? And I don't know about you, but I really haven't like put too much thought into it until now, until I realized how it was actually a pattern. Like how in my relationships, right, where I was nurturing at times, but I would intellectualize a lot of emotions and feelings, instead of just hold space for the emotions. I was very solution oriented. Like, okay, okay, like let's figure this out. Let's find a solution. Let's move forward. Let's attack the situation, move forward. And when somebody else, like let's say my ex or something, was still in the feelings of it, I was dismissive. I was just kind of like, all right, like let's move on already. Like let's move forward. Right? Like to me in my head, it was always like, okay, like if we don't have a solution, then I don't know why we're sitting here like moping about it. It just kind of felt not productive, right? And she was saying how that's a reflection, right? Like my partner could only meet me as deeply as I could meet myself. And I couldn't meet myself in that deep, deep, deep way, even though I pride myself on being pretty deep, like it's just crazy the blind spots that we all have. And, you know, how me being dismissive towards my inner child, in a sense, right, of my emotions, being dismissive towards my own emotions, of like, okay, I don't want to feel sad, I don't want to feel pain, I just want to move forward, I just want to find solutions, I just want to figure it out, I just want to, be happy, right? Which I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to. I mean, let me know if this does. But what we're doing is we're telling our inner child to just suck it up, move forward, and this can create a lot of anger and rage and coldness and lack of trust with ourselves. And my goal going into this year to be able to hold space for the deep pleasure that I want to create in my life, impact, money, career, connection, community, all of those things. It's like I have to turn toward my inner child and pick her up and hold her and love her and hold space for her big emotions and be the one person that like lets her know that it's safe. It's safe to feel so deeply. It's actually so beautiful. And I know you're so afraid to get lost in it and, to be taken advantage of. But you have discernment, right? Like you're not the naive 16-year-old anymore that just gives, 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 right? Like you have discernment now. And so that is really where I'm at. And I want to hear where you guys are at with your inner child. How can you connect with her today? And for me, I'm very much like, give me the steps. Like, what can I do? Right. So there's many ways that you can connect and nurture and love and care for your inner child. And we have many different versions of our inner children. They can be different ages, your inner teen, all of that. But just think of it as like an energy, right? And, you know, um, this could be writing a letter to her. This could be, for me, it's not very like, oh, I'm writing a letter to my inner child or whatever. You can do meditations and things like that. For me, it's something as simple as like, I'm feeling this undercurrent of sadness, or I'm feeling bored, or I'm feeling, remember, your inner child represents your emotions, right? Or I'm feeling my anxious attachment coming through, or whatever, or my avoidance, or the little girl in me is just acting up, right? You got your grown woman energy and you got your little girl energy. So where in your life does that little girl energy kind of come through? And what I do is more of like a nervous system kind of energetic way to connect with her. So what I mean by that is, um, you know, I'll feel in my body where I'm feeling that emotion. Do I feel it like a block in my throat? Do I feel like it in my stomach or my chest or in my traps or, my feet? And I put my hand over that part of my body or not, and I ask that part of my body like what it needs. Does it need safety, security, permission, play, fun, surrender, like, courage to lean into fear, and courage, right? To feel the fear and do it anyway. Like, what is this part of my body needing? And how can I give that to myself? Right? If you're somebody who's dating right now and, they're taking a little bit long to reply or whatever, and you start to notice that anxious attachment style coming up, or maybe you think about your parents and you start to freak out, or maybe you have avoidant attachment, like looking at your attachment styles, right? And like, what is it that you're wanting from that person and how can you give it to yourself? You're feeling lonely, so you want comfort and security from that person, right? Or validation. Don't judge it, but how can you give that to yourself? And just nurturing those parts of you. Sometimes spending time with your inner child could be as simple as watching your favorite movie that you loved growing up, like Matilda or Shrek or Free Willy, and eating some of your favorite ice cream. Maybe sometimes it's even, like, just it could just be as simple as giving yourself a hug, like literally holding yourself and giving yourself what you need and letting yourself know that you got you and you're here for you and you love you, right? And like you're safe. And it's as simple as that, right? And so, something that I did going into this new year, I usually have my digital vision board as like my screensaver, but I actually made my inner child my screensaver, my inner child, my youngest version of myself my screensaver. And so every time I look at my wallpaper, I'm reminded of that version of me. And every single time you talk to yourself in a certain way, you tell yourself that you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you're not good enough, and you'll never be good enough, and it needs to be perfect, and all of these things, and you're scared. It's like, that's that version of you coming through. And what does she need from you? So she can manifest your desired reality and hold it, right? Because that's what the fuck we came here to do. You know how much of a miracle it is to just be a human on this earth, right? And so that's one of the biggest things that I'm doing. Um, Outside of, obviously routines and productivity and habits and, you know, um, actionable, measurable goals setting, right? But it's like you could do all that shit. It doesn't matter if your inner child is left behind, because then your emotions are always going to get in the way of you doing what you need to do, whether you're conscious of it or not. So that's the first thing. The second thing is aligning like with my higher self. And what I mean by that is making decisions for my higher self. That's it. When my ego wants to react, I ask myself how I would respond. How would my higher self respond to the situation? Because you can always have the decision to react, you can make the choice to respond, right? And I had a call with a client the other day, and she was talking about how, like, she doesn't feel connected to her higher self and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, you are connected. You're always connected. But sometimes we think it needs to look or feel a certain way. At the end of the day, if you made a decision for yourself that is in alignment for your highest good, you're already making decisions from the place of your higher self, right? And that's what it's all about. It's almost like for Christians, like, what would Jesus do? That kind of thing. Um, yeah. So each moment, every day, you're making a vote for who you want to be. So vote wisely. And then lastly, uh, you know, really just focusing on my routines, right? And um, setting myself up for success, hiring mentors that can help me get there, knowing that I can't do it all on my own. And the part of me that feels like I need to is just a defense mechanism. Um, and I'm excited for what's to come, truly, truly, truly. And um, I'm excited to share that all with you guys here. So I want to know what your word is going into 2025. For me, that word is, prosperity, flourish, and alignment. Making sure that everything I'm doing is really in alignment with my soul pull, where my heart is being pulled, even when my logical brain comes in and tells me and like shuts it down. I want to step into my fucking power this year. Like, I feel like I've always feared that deeper intensity of that fire within me. And this year I'm saying, fuck all the bullshit, baby. If you don't fucking like me, uh, fuck, I don't give a fuck. Cause I'm doing my thing, baby. And I want to see you doing your thing and you doing your thing and you doing your thing. And it's scary at times, but fuck it. We're going to die anyway. So I'm wishing you all a beautiful, amazing 2025. And I have a special gift for you guys. So every year we do a digital vision boarding event. It's completely free. This year I decided to keep it closed doors for our one-on-one fitness and nutrition coaching clients only. However, we are opening up limited amount of spots to join us on January 11th, 111, Saturday at 11 a.m. And we're going to spend that hour. I'm going to take you guys through a guided meditation. Me and Coach Crystal are going to help you guys. We're going to go through certain reflection prompts to help you guys align with what is it that I really want? What is my soul pull? What am I really craving? And what's in the way of me getting there? And how can I clear my path? And then we're going to take 30 minutes to create our digital vision boards. So, whether that's on your iPhone or your desktop or your iPad, we're going to give you guys all the steps needed. And it's always such a vibe every single year. It really, really is. And if you want to join this event to, you know, gain a sense of human connection and community, but most importantly, create your 2025 digital vision board and make it a vibe, join us on 111 at 11 a.m. It's a portal day, so it's going to be in alignment. And I'll drop the link, the invite link, in the show notes below. And remember, if you're a client, you already have the link. And if you're not, there's only limited spots available because, we are doing it solely for our internal clients. So I love you guys. Let's have an awesome year and more to come. Let's get it.